Are you going to let another year unfold by accident instead of on purpose? This is Carl Bimshaw, and I see it nearly every year, right towards the end of it. Busy professionals rush around to meet sales quotas or strain to pull stalled initiatives over the finish line. They argue with colleagues about bureaucratic things, and then, even though it's starting to get a little old, they hit the bars with their friends every night and commiserate. Or those who are more established fight traffic to run errands before getting home. They make or heat up dinner, grunt at the people they supposedly love, and veg out in front of one screen or another. What they're not doing is thinking about next year, unless they're using it as a delay tactic. I'll start my own business next year. I'll go for my degree next year. I'm too busy. I'll just want to get through the holidays, and then I'll deal with that next year. They think that gets them off the hook. Well, contrary to popular belief, it's not the thought that counts. It's the implementation of that thought. If you're not thinking about how to make next year better than this year, you are already behind those who are creating change. Now, to be clear, I'm talking about people who are successful in their professional life, probably even in their personal and private life, but something has just not been clicking right lately. I found that there are 3 common mistakes busy professionals make that keep them feeling anxious about the planning of their year, and as a result, they consistently sabotage themselves. That first mistake is they ignore their values and purpose. So let's dig into that and talk about that a little bit. Where do values come from? Well, our thoughts drive our values drive our beliefs drive our attitude, and our attitude drives our behavior. And that's actually not linear, it's more cyclical. Our behavior drives our thoughts, and so on and so forth. So if you wanted to change your behavior, you need to change your attitude. If you want to change your beliefs, you change your values. Well, changing your values is heady stuff, but it is possible, but it takes some time. Values are personal. They're enduring, and they're self-selected. In other words, other people can't instill their values on you, although they try. Your values are your values. The enduring part is you've generally tested them. You've been with them for a while, and you say, these ones I fit with me, and these ones I reject. And that's the self-selected part, too, is that whether you believe it or not, you're selecting what you value. So how do you know that? How do you know where they are? Take a look at your calendar or your checkbook. Just another way of saying priorities, but where you're spending your time and where you're spending your money is an indication of what you value. So as a quick exercise, take a look at those 2 things, even over the last week. But it's better if you can go a couple weeks or a couple months and see where have you been spending your time. Obviously, it's going to be at work and that kind of thing, which is a value. But where else are you spending your recreation? How much money are you spending on various hobbies, interests, or people? So those give you a little indication of what you value. Take a look at them and see how you feel about that. Because a lot of people have no idea what their values are. I mean, when I ask them, they say, well, it's, honesty, and I value my health and integrity, and, and all that's great. I kind of look at those as the prerequisite for being a contributing member of society. But so they're important, but I kind of would like to assume everybody has it, even though we know that's not true. But let's get to you specifically. Which values do you want? Well, I take people in my practice through an exercise. You can do it on your own, and we'll run through this real quickly. Is you just find a bunch of words. I start with 425 of them, and that you just run through them and see which ones speak to you. So there are things like attentiveness or balance, boldness, bravery, concern, comfort, diligence, efficiency, ease, freedom, gratitude, joy. You get the idea. You pick any number of these words that kind of, they're value words, they're nouns, tend to be, and you find the ones that speak to you. Now, I start my clients out with 425 of them, which is quite a bit, and so then we have to narrow it down. And I put them through kind of like a March Madness thing. They generally have more than 16, so we try to break it down as few as possible. But let's say you end up with 16 words, values that are important to you. Well, now we pit them against each other until we get down to 8. And then we pit them against each other, and then we get to the final 4. Now, why do we do that? Now, a lot of people have trouble with that. Well, gee, I have these two values, and they're both important to me. Well, I mean, none of this is written in stone, so you can change some of the words around, combine words. You can even make up your own word if you want. I mean, they're your values. But at the end of the exercise, you want to end up with 4, because any more than 4, and it's too much, you're not going to pay attention to them, and that's how you're sabotaging your year, is because you're not paying attention to your values, to the things that are important to you. And for this next year, you want to start doing that. You want to start paying attention to what's important to you. And what we do with those final 4 is then you prioritize them and rank order them. What's the most important? And some people say, well, they're all important, otherwise they wouldn't be my values. But see, life is about values conflict. For example, if somebody values honesty and they value family, at some point there's going to be a situation where they're going to have to choose honesty or family. In other words, do they call in sick when they're not to spend time with their family, or do they leave their family because they made a commitment to a work situation and they can't lie their way out of it, or something like that. So at the end of the day, there will always be value conflicts. And so you want to know what your values are and rank them so that you can make better decisions. And that's what going through and understanding your values ultimately is about, so that you are crafting your year and your months and your weeks and your days and making better decisions that are based on values which you picked. So therefore you're working toward your life, not somebody else's. The next thing that we do, and the next thing that I ask people is, what's your purpose? A lot of people kind of shrug over that one too, because they don't give it a lot of thought. In fact, that's what a lot of people start out with. It's like, well, I don't know what my purpose is. I have a lot of different exercises to help people kind of discover or uncover. I think everybody knows what their purpose is. They're kind of born with it, and then it's their job to kind of uncover it throughout life. But it's there, in my opinion. But here's an exercise, and I'll run through this very quickly. This typically takes an hour, but just to kind of give you a sense of one of the ways that you can draw out and find what your purpose or your mission is. And this makes it a little bit more dynamic. I mean, if you think about companies, organizations who spend all their time coming up with their vision statements, put it up on a wall somewhere, and nobody can recite it, and nobody remembers what it is, or very few. We don't want to do that with your personal mission statement or your personal purpose. You want to know what it is and what it stands for. So I'll take you through an exercise on that. The first thing you want to do, similar to finding words, so get yourself a thesaurus or a dictionary or something, and just go through and find words that are strengths of yours that you absolutely know that you possess. These are words that when you hear them or somebody tells you you have this, you smirk a little bit because there's a little, I don't want to call it smugness, but there is that piece of like, yeah, you're right, I got that. And so, words of that could be, maybe it's bravery, maybe it's courage, maybe it's confidence, maybe it's customer service, something like that. You're just fabulous at customer service. Maybe it's grace. It's somebody who acts with a lot of dignity, and that's your strength. Maybe you're hope and filled with hopefulness all the time. Maybe it's justice. You have a sense of justice. Maybe you're very strong physically. It's a true strength. You're physically strong, and that's your strength, is that you have a lot of brawn. Maybe you provide a lot of service to people. Maybe you have great wit. So you go through and you find what are these strengths that you have, okay? Then the second part of that would be positive and effective interactions. And these are the ways, think about how do you influence people in a positive way? What is it that you end up doing? This is not the, throwing a temper tantrum and pouting to get your way type of thing. These are the, what are the ways that you positively interact with people to win them over to your point of view? This could be the big stuff, but it's also, where are we going to go for dinner tonight, or what movie are we going to see? And if it's, you're winning people over with your arguments in the best sense of the word, these are the things you want to think about. So it's similar set of words that are positive in the way that you interact with people. Maybe you're somebody who analyzes everything. So you analyze the facts and are very fact-based. Maybe you're very caring and looking at what's the best for everybody, and that's how you make a decision and how you influence people. Maybe you're very creative, or maybe you're very direct. Maybe you're like, hey, it's my way or the highway, and that works for you. That always works for you. It's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just an example. What about if maybe you're dramatizing everything? The old theater majors and so on and so forth, who everything they do is a dramatic interpretation of what they would like to see happen. Maybe you're a great listener, and then you use what you hear to gain the influence that you want to get. Maybe you're playful. Maybe you're great at selling, or maybe you're great at repairing things. So you're the fix-it person. So there's a bunch of the kind of words. Just think about how you positively interact with people. So you jot down a few of those. Okay. Now this third thing, and people think about this all the time, but it's hard. When you think about your ideal world, and this is something a lot of people spend a lot of time on this, and I say spend maybe 3 or 5 minutes, and you just think about what is it if you had no constraints, no financial barriers, no relationship issues, no complaints, no resource issues or anything like that. What is it that your ideal world would look like? Now, if that's too far reaching for you, maybe you drill it down to like, what would your ideal home life look like? What would your ideal work environment look like? What would your ideal retirement look like? You can drill it down a little bit there. But if you kind of know, like, oh, if only, that's the beginning of your ideal world. Don't agonize over it. Just jot a few things down. As an example, and we'll run somebody through like an example here. Let's say somebody wrote their ideal world would be one where young children are free from harm. They're just very caring about that, and that's something that they see it all the time, and they wish that kids would be free from harm. So that would be an example of an ideal world. Another one might be just hanging out in a hammock. That could be an ideal world. Okay. Now, this is the fun part where we start to kind of form it together. What you go back to your strengths, and you go back to your positive interactions, the ones that you listed, brainstormed, and you pick the two strongest, hopefully. So in this example, let's say somebody picked helpfulness and dedication as their strengths. It's what they do very well, and maybe the way that they interact with people very well is that they listen and they make plans. So that would be an example of the strengths and the positive interactions. Then number 5 there, think about a group of people that you feel compelled to serve. Now by that, I mean there are generally people you're attracted to or are attracted to you, seem to be the same type of people. Maybe it's children, maybe it's the elderly, maybe it's a particular demographic of some sort. And these are people that you enjoy being with, but you also learn a lot from. Sometimes you seek them out to learn from. There's some people, I know who seek out our retired military. They love learning from them, not only their histories, but also about leadership. So think about, a group of people that you learn from, but that you also want to help. So one example might be like kids. Okay, and that's great. But now we want to take that and start to be specific and say, like, what kind of people, and does it matter? So in other words, if you said, well, you feel compelled to serve kids, and so, well, great, yeah, teenagers need a lot of help. And then you say, well, no, I don't really like teenagers. I mean, younger than that. Oh, so it matters. Yeah, it matters. So what kind of kid? Well, I guess kindergartners. Okay, great. So any kind of kindergartner would be great. And then you think about it and you say, well, maybe actually I'm more drawn to the kindergartners who are afflicted with something like asthma or something. So now you have drilled that down from just kids to, let's just say kindergartners with asthma. Now that's a very specific group. It might be a little too narrow, but you want to take that exercise and drill it down as specifically as you can. Okay. Then on number 6, now you just draft your purpose. You take these, all the work that we've done to this point, and kind of put them together in like a Mad Libs kind of fill in the blanks thing. So with the example we've been running through with this person with the young children and helpfulness and dedication, it might go something like this. My purpose is to use my helpfulness and dedication, those are their 2 strengths, to plan and listen to, those are their top interactions, planning and listening. Listen to kindergartners with asthma. So there's that specific group of people, so that young children are free from harm. Okay, their ideal world. So altogether, it'd be, my purpose is to use my helpfulness and dedication to plan and listen to kindergartners with asthma, so that young children are free from harm. Okay. Now, for somebody, and that was their purpose, that might really jump up for them. To other people, that might be a little bit clunky. So what you do is you just rewrite it a little bit. Use your own words and, clean it up a bit so that it kind of flows off the tongue and it makes sense and you feel good about saying it. And so you do that example with a little work. Maybe it turns into, my purpose is to be dedicated to helping create a plan for kindergartners with asthma, so that they feel listened to and live active lives free from harm. Now, if that's somebody's purpose that they've worked on, that's pretty powerful stuff. That's a big thing. And so you do the same thing with yours as you kind of narrow it down. And now you have a mission statement, essentially a personal mission statement that is meaningful for you. But here's the final step on this. Even though it's meaningful for you and it's great and you may look at it every day, most people don't memorize it. Most people don't remember it. It's why it's hanging on a wall in organizations and they don't remember it, and you may put it on your wall at your home and people still have a little trouble memorizing it. So what I like to do is, okay, now reduce it down to a mantra. Just, 2 or 4 words, maybe a very succinct sentence that is a trigger for you of what it really means, what this purpose is all about. So instead of, my mission is I'm dedicated to helping create a plan for kindergartners with asthma so they feel listened to and live active lives and that are free from harm, maybe their mantra becomes breathe easy, play safe. See? Now that, if this is not your purpose, you're not interested at all, that could be a very boring thing or be nonsensical. But if this is your thing, your purpose, you'll know. That'll be a kind of a nice zing for you. So that's the whole point on that one. So those were, the number one mistake that busy professionals are making when they're planning their year, if they're planning it at all, is that they're ignoring their values and purpose. And what I'm saying is don't. Make sure you know what your values are and that you're working on your purpose. Okay? Next time what we'll do is we'll talk about what they forget about, which is the whole picture. And then the point on that is that nobody is just one thing, and people tend to forget that. So until next time, this is Carl Blimshaw, and remember to live on purpose, not by accident.